Good afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to be joined by Susanne, one of the acupuncturists at the Zita West Clinic this afternoon. If somebody could just let me know that I am live, great, I can see that. So Susanne will be joining me very, very soon, and we've got lots of questions, and we're going to do our best to answer them all. So I'm just waiting for her to come in. I can see that Lou, one of our other acupuncturists, is on here. So, hi, Louis. Here we are, connecting. Susanna, how are you?
Hello. Hi, Zita. How are you?
I'm fine. I had a disastrous day on, what day is it today? Friday. On Wednesday, I had no internet. It was very poor, so it was really bad. So I'm glad that this is okay now.
You need that for life nowadays.
Oh my God. So anyway, we have got lots and lots of questions. And as I was saying to the ladies watching that you're one of the acupuncturists, and we've got Louis, we've got Josephine, we've got Valeria, we've got yourself. I hope I haven't missed anybody out, but you've all been at the clinic for a long time. And acupuncture is the sort of hub of what we do, isn't it? We do thousands of treatments every year. And what women like about coming to the clinic is that it's not just about having the acupuncture, it's about asking a lot of the questions and giving a lot of support to women that are going through a really sort of stressful process, isn't it?
Yes, totally. It's nice because I think it's a really good support network here. You know, they have the medical side, then they have the holistic side, they have us, they have hypnotherapy. So it's really nice because we can support them in a very nice way.
Yeah, and also it's important to get across, you don't have to be having treatment at the clinic to be able to access the acupuncture service. And we get many people that are doing IVF at other clinics or trying for a baby.
Trying to conceive naturally as well. So we have,
What do you think you treat the most of? You know, you're there probably 2 days, aren't you?
Yes, I'm there 2 days. And I think it's mostly people who come here for IVF and we support them. And then I would say, secondly, people who have treatments, IVF treatments in other clinics who just come here for the acupuncture. And then I would say, thirdly, trying to conceive naturally.
Yeah, because a lot of questions we get is how long should I be having acupuncture in preparation for IVF? And, you know, what's your view on that, Susanna?
Well, I would say as much time as you have is good to prepare. You know, you have to take into account that the follicles get recruited after 3 months. So it's good to start with about 3 months is perfect. But if you can't do that because you haven't got the time, then definitely come in the months before the IVF. And even if this is not possible, then, you know, come during the IVF cycle, and that, you know, and we can still support you with that. But as much time beforehand as you can is great.
Yeah, and it has been difficult, hasn't it? Because we're just about coming out of COVID. So what's been very, very hard is we've probably been limited to the women we can see because we can't have too many people at the clinic at the same time. So we've had to work around that, and also making sure the room is absolutely scrubbed down, post treatment, ready for the next lady to come in.
Yeah. So our treatments are now slightly longer. The treatment time is now slightly longer because we have to clean the room afterwards. We air the room, you know, I'm in PPE, we're normal with masks. So it has to be COVID secure, of course, but that also limits sometimes the number of people. But it's getting busier, and I think also more and more people want to come, and they are happy for us to treat them.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, as well, because you were saying that what I find when I'm there, it's if women come just for the transfer, and we do that, they can have acupuncture before and after transfer. I often find that they're very stressed because, one, they haven't met the practitioner before, and it's about rapport and trust. They don't know the clinic, and it's quite a stressful thing to do on your transfer day, especially as things don't always run to time, do they?
Yeah. I mean, I would recommend to come beforehand, not just on transfer day. However, I do also have patients who have acupuncture locally. So, you know, they do have the acupuncture, but they can't travel every time to the clinic for acupuncture. And that is fair. Of course, we have the Zita West network as well. But of course, if you can, definitely come here before, meet us, and it will be a much more relaxed, experience.
Yeah. What do you say, Susanne, as well? Because there's a lot of controversy around acupuncture and fertility and evidence-based medicine. And clients often ask, don't they, where is the research, where is the science to support what you're doing? And, for me, what I always say is that this is a very different system of medicine. It's a different medical model. It's completely different to Western medicine. So it's very hard to compare the two. And many studies have been done, haven't they, to show it can help with certain things when it comes to fertility, like blood flow to the uterus. There has been research on before and after transfer, certainly with women with polycystic ovaries, irregular cycles, but also beta endorphin release, which is for stress. So it helps with stress hormone. And I think as well that what I love about acupuncture is that every single person is treated as an individual, and the practitioners all bring their uniqueness to the room. So you don't all do the same thing. You've all got different ways of working, which, to me makes a unique model of medicine. So what do you say to women? Because you must get asked that a lot.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, there is a lot of research out there. A lot of positive research, and I sometimes refer people to the British Acupuncture Council.
Yes, that has it's got a very good research.
So they have little fact sheets as well, which, about IVF and acupuncture, or female fertility or male fertility, which is a good starting point. And they also cite certain research papers, which you can go there and look up. You will, of course, find also research papers that are not as positive or more inconclusive. But often that has to do with the methodology. And as you say, it is very tricky sometimes to determine how successful it was. But I think, and we are all very different practitioners. So, you need to have a rapport with the practitioner. But I think if you have that, you will definitely get a lot out of the treatments. I mean, I don't have any patients really who come out of here and say, my God, this was awful. Or, I don't feel relaxed. I mean, even if you feel a bit anxious about needles beforehand, or you're not quite sure, most of them, just relax on the couch. Most people fall asleep. And I think, just the stress relief already, I think it's a bit of me time as well when they're lying on the couch having the needles. And also already that is a great plus. But as you said, there's a lot of research. It is definitely proven that it improves the blood flow to the uterus. And with that, a better flow of hormones and nutrients, which then helps follicle growth. It helps with PCOS, with endometriosis, painful periods, regulating periods as well. And also with male fertility, we can...
Mind you, I have to confess, I rarely see any men that come for acupuncture. Rarely.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. It is, I would say maybe 10%.
Yeah,
it is not very
mine is 0%. But
which I think is a shame. It is really a shame, because I think the men that do come, they find it very relaxing as well, and find it very nice. Yeah.
But I think as well, women very often underestimate the pressure they're under when they're going through a cycle, especially pre-COVID, when you were having to get to work, you were having to get out of meetings, you were having to get to meetings, and just being able to sort of lie there and relax and get that support, I think is it's crucial. It's really important. So acupuncture is about the needles and meridians, and this concept of energy has always hindered Western medicine. But it's about more than that as well. It's about doing the pulses, looking at the tongue, but also there's sort of equipment that's used. So we use moxa, we use a heat lamp, and we've had a couple of questions on that. Do you want to sort of explain a little bit about how that helps?
The heat lamp?
The heat lamp and the moxa. And
Yeah. So, I mean, both actually, heat lamp and moxa are both warming treatments. It helps to warm up certain areas. With the heat lamp, a slightly bigger area, so we often put it over the abdomen. With moxa is a little stick. I've got one here. So it's often a little stick which we burn, and with that heat, we can warm up one particular point. It's often used for if you want to nourish the person, tonify things. The idea behind this, particularly after with the heat lamp, is that the heat increases the blood flow. The blood vessels, of course, dilate, which then helps again with the blood flow.
And when you've got a good blood flow, you've got nutrients, you've got oxygen, you've got everything going to that area at that time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anything else you use? We use electroacupuncture as well, don't we?
Yes, I use electroacupuncture quite a bit for, particularly during the stimulation process. It's been also, there's also lots of research out there, positive research, that it helps with follicle growth, egg quality. What we do with the electroacupuncture is, so we needle certain points, and then we attach some wires to it, and we run a tiny current through it. It sounds really scary, but it's not. It feels a bit like a tense machine, a slight tingle or vibration, and people normally find it totally relaxing as well. What it does is it increases the effects of the needles. It just stimulates it even more. So it's used for...
And we use that usually during the stimulation phase.
Yes, during stimulation, yes. You can also use it in natural conceiving for ovulation and, in other areas for musculoskeletal problems. But here in the clinic, it's mainly used during the stimulation process.
It's interesting. Somebody said here, Susanne's treatments are incredibly relaxing, definitely help with anxiety and difficult emotions that experience going through a treatment. That's lovely, isn't it? Somebody also asked earlier on, is acupuncture more beneficial over reflexology to support fertility? Well, I think you've got to go with what you find suits you. Often if somebody is needle phobic and hates needles, what's the point of trying something like acupuncture? And reflexology is really good. There have been some studies done, haven't there, on reflexology and induction of labour, etc. So whatever suits you. The fact that you've got the rapport with the practitioner and it's helping you is important. But then again, we can't all get on with everybody, and sometimes if you don't have that rapport with someone, I don't think you should carry on doing it. And I think as well that many acupuncturists do support, but it's not about controlling. You've got to make your own mind up about treatments and doing IVF and when you're going to do IVF. And one of the things I get concerned about, especially in older women, if they're having a lot of acupuncture and they're not being overseen by anybody, you can waste valuable fertility time, can't you? Just trying acupuncture, 6 months, 9 months is gone. Because you're waiting for something to happen.
I would also say a good acupuncturist would say that and would tell you, look, we may be coming to the end of the road here with that. You might need to seek someone else or other help. I would hope, a professional acupuncturist would tell you.
Would do that. And I think as well, it's interesting with the languages that used with acupuncture sometimes, isn't it? It's very confusing for a woman, and it can be quite frightening when, we are focused on the meridians that relate to the kidneys and the liver and the heart and the lung. And, there's terminology we use such as phlegm and damp and heat. And, when somebody comes in and they say, oh, the acupuncturist said there was something wrong with my kidneys, she doesn't mean that. When the acupuncturist said I'm full of damp, you just think of yourself, oh my God. So I think, the words used, you have to be very careful as well, haven't you? Because it does send women into absolute
I always
panic.
Try to explain it a little bit in more Western medical terms as well, because it's tricky because you get so into your own language. But when people ask and I say, oh, you're a bit blood deficient, then I try to make sure that does not mean you don't have enough blood. It's just Chinese Western terminology. But I try to explain it. Or I would also encourage patients to ask. If you don't understand it, or if you feel that does not make sense, please ask the acupuncturist, and they'll be more than happy to try and explain it in a different way. They just
and that's why when you have an initial consultation, everything is important to an acupuncturist in terms of your periods, what your blood flow is like, whether you're getting clots, what your tongue is like. It's helping them diagnose, isn't it? What acupuncture points to use, or what pattern of disharmony that you have. I mean, this is an ancient system of medicine, and what is incredible about the ancient Chinese is that they would pay their doctors at the start of every season to keep them well, and if they got ill, they stopped paying, which is real sort of ancient preventative medicine, isn't it? So it's important. So a lady here's asked, I would love to know about male fertility, please, using acupuncture.
Yeah.
As you see more men than me, you can answer this one, that one, Susanne.
Yes, so absolutely. But again, it's not a magic wand. So I would recommend that if someone wants to improve sperm motility, count, whatever, they should really start from sort of 3 months beforehand. So you need a little bit of time with that. But sperm, changes, and you can treat it really well, actually. But it will always be together with, a good nutrition, a good lifestyle. So we will also give them nutritional advice, lifestyle advice. Again, also ask certain questions around, do they drink alcohol? Do they, cycle a lot? Things like that. So it's not a one thing, but it definitely, there's also studies out, just going back to the research papers, there are studies out that, for example, with low sperm count, we can lower the scrotal temperature and then improve sperm count with that. And you can do that with acupuncture. So
I think it's interesting as well that sometimes the sperm doesn't change at all, and there is a diagnosis and there's an underlying issue such as a varicocele or undescended testicles as a child and all of that, which means that no matter what you do, you're not going to sort of make that huge change without medical intervention. So as long as the client knows that, but I think for a lot of couples, they want to feel that they've ticked absolutely every box before they go down a route of IVF or to get the support they need during IVF. And I've got a question here, Susanne. I've read about acupuncture helping fertility by diverting blood flow to the uterus. Is that not bad for the rest of the body where the blood usually is? Sorry if it's a stupid question. No, it's not a stupid question. I mean, acupuncture increases the blood flow to the whole pelvic area. So like I said earlier, when you've got increased blood flow, it helps with nutrients, oxygen, it helps with the developing follicles you're recruiting for IVF. I mean, again, like with exercise, what we say about exercise during IVF, we don't like women exercising during IVF. When you're stimulating, your eggs can feel quite heavy and taut round here. And if you're doing a lot of exercise, we want the blood in the pelvis, not to other areas of the body. And this is only sort of like a short period of time. So I hope that answers your question. Does acupuncture hurt?
I would say no. But I might be biased. What it does is, I mean, we will make sure that you're absolutely comfortable, and if you're a bit anxious about it, then let us know. I think what you feel is often the insertion of the needle, and it can be a little bit more depending on the part of the body. So often in the feet is a little bit more sensitive, but you feel the insertion, and after that the sensation normally goes away. And most people,
but it's like a dull sensation.
Yeah, it can be a dull little sensation, but normally even that will subside, and normally people feel completely relaxed and don't even feel the needles after a while. So I would say no. I mean, of course, you're putting a needle into a body. There will be an insertion, but it's nowhere near what you would feel when you have an injection, because the needles are much.
So you usually, I know for me, I usually put 8 to 10 needles in, and I leave them in for a certain length of time, depending on what I'm trying to do. And then I might finish off with just putting the needle in, tonifying a couple of acupuncture points afterwards. So we usually leave them in for about 30 to 40 minutes. Yeah.
Yes, sometimes a little bit less, I would say, because the follow-up appointments here are 40 minutes, so it's about 25 to 30, I would say. Depending on how much report you have to do, how much consultation you have to do.
Yeah, okay. What type of acupuncture is best to improve egg quality. Well, we have sort of like different ways of working, but like I said, it depends on the day. If somebody's over anxious, what the underlying deficiencies are that you're treating. But you know, what we try to do is work with the blood flow, sort of to do the best we can to sort of get the blood going. But also there's extra meridians, there's all sorts of things, but it's based on an individual basis,
yes,
isn't it?
absolutely, absolutely. But as you said, you know, we all have slightly different styles as acupuncturists, and someone might be more trained in traditional Chinese medicine or more 5 elements, but you know, all of those will help you to improve quality over a certain period of time by increasing the blood flow and, you know, making you feel generally better as well.
Yeah, somebody's written here, AMH, my AMH is 50, which is high. I think I need to reduce this, so can acupuncture help? Well, the reason that it's high, there may be an underlying factor such as polycystic ovaries, so you're not going to get an accurate result anyway. But I would never say that acupuncture can reduce or increase a low AMH. And I think you have to be very sort of careful about what your expectations are. So I think that could be very sort of misleading. But we've talked about what acupuncture can help with, like stress reduction, blood flow, etc. Should you have acupuncture in the 2-week wait? I know you're supposed to reduce stress on the body.
Yes, absolutely. What we tend to do is that we leave it alone for the first week. So, you know, we say if people have the pre and the post transfer acupuncture, please go away and, you know, just do your thing and leave it for the first week. But at the beginning of the 2nd week, by all means, come especially if you're feeling really anxious, you know, we have a nice relaxing treatment and you can help with that for sure. Yeah. So we
wouldn't use any stimulation during that time.
No, it will be a very calming, very tonifying treatment with certain points.
And we will steer away from points on the abdomen. It would be on the periphery. Because the 2-week wait is incredibly stressful, isn't it? And I think what we try to do encourage women that come for transfer as well, you know, if you can't do both, it doesn't matter. You know, sometimes for me, I would much rather they came before than take themselves home and just have a sleep on the bed or be on the sofa and rest, because by the time you get to transfer, it's exhausting, isn't it? It's exhausting, that waiting to have them put back in and all of the other fears that go with that.
A very early start in the day, and then I think it's nice to have the pre, because often, you know, they feel very anxious and it's nice to the acupuncture to just calm yourself down. Often I hear, oh, this was really nice, now I feel much better going to the transfer. So this is really nice. But if you then feel, you know, I rather want to go home, then that is, you know, after totally. And
we have to be very flexible as well, don't we? Because transfers are late, they're rarely early, things run late, so they get into a panic about being able to get there dead on time. So we're very, very flexible. We have another room going where we can definitely sort of give the treatment and try and squeeze people in. Okay. About to start my 3rd IVF, 1 fresh, 2 frozen, all unsuccessful. I'm 43. I want to do everything possible to improve the chance of success, as time is not on my side. When should I start acupuncture? Are there any side effects? Will I feel like the needles are in me after I've had acupuncture? So what's difficult about this, like at 43, it's really difficult for IVF to work. I don't know the medical history or what the AMH is, etc. But you feel that you want to tick every box and do everything you can. So, like Susanne was saying, start acupuncture as soon as you can in the lead up to your cycle, and just see what happens. But also looking at nutrition, looking at things like inositol, your diet, your stress, all of that, to do everything you can. So the other thing is, are there any side effects?
No, I cannot think of any side effects of acupuncture.
The odd side effect I have, and it happens very rarely, is just a slight bruise, sometimes on the abdomen,
but even that happens very rarely. It does. Because, you know, there can sometimes be a little bit of a bruise, but it's nothing to worry about, you know. Press against it, or even put some ice on, or, you know, you can always call back if you're concerned. But, you know, it does not happen at every treatment. It happens rarely.
And it's interesting asking about the needles still in after I've had acupuncture. Very often, when I take the needles out, one will say, "Oh, are they out now?" They
Yeah.
still feel that they're there, especially
Yes.
when I do the tonification.
Yes.
So sometimes you do feel that, but you do feel quite floaty. A lot of women sort of say they feel deeply relaxed after they've had it.
Yeah.
I asked a consultant about acupuncture and said could it help me to relax, but I didn't know of any of the studies about the impact on fertility. I don't really understand that question. I've asked a consultant about acupuncture, said it could help me to relax. But there are studies on stress, aren't there? And there are studies on beta endorphin release. So,
Yeah,
you know,
there are studies on which are positive outcomes, which increase the live birth rate after acupuncture during IVF.
Yeah.
So there are absolutely studies about this. Again, as I said before, maybe go to the British Acupuncture Council website. Start from there.
That's really good.
Because there's definitely enough evidence. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting as well. Are there any other exercises, treatment I should be doing if I want to do acupuncture too? And that's a good question, because very often we do a course of acupuncture, don't we? We do it once a week. Somebody will come in for 4 to 6 treatments. If they're going through IVF, what is the protocol for IVF? They come once during the
so they come
depends
for
on the protocol they're on.
Beforehand, and then during the cycle, yes, they come normally once during down regulation, and then we recommend twice during stimulation. But this can vary how much you respond to stimulation. So if you stimulate for much longer and this progress is very slow, then by all means you can have 3 or 4. Or if it's going much faster, maybe you only have 1. But 2 is what we normally recommend, and then we recommend the pre and the post on embryo transfer. So it's about 5 at least during the IVF.
Yeah, but we do sort of like not give homework, but we do encourage women to rest, to go to bed early and sleep when they're going through a cycle. Deep breathing, yoga, meditation, all of that, you know, Tai Chi, all of that. And I know as acupuncturists as well, it's like building up your reserves. So sleep, listening to music, not too much screen work, wearing warm socks, because there's a very important acupuncture point in the base of the foot. And that's a kidney point. So it's good to wear warm socks. People ask all sorts of things as well about having Mackie D's after transfer and everything else like that. And people have their rituals and their routines that they need to do. But I think it's important as well that when you're going through IVF, that you need to be prepared mentally, emotionally and physically so you can cope, but you also need to be organized. So planning your diary, if you're working, so that you've got the time, because that's what, you know, eats into your time. It's time management, isn't it?
You have to be very organized, but you also have to be prepared that things can go.
And we also encourage women as well. I mean, I know I do, to sort of lie on the sofa with a warm hot water bottle, because again, not after transfer, but in the lead up to egg collection, because again, that's
after egg collection, we always say keep your abdomen warm, have a hot water bottle. That's why we also use the heat lamps. And I mean, I generally find during that time, please look after yourself and do whatever.
Drink plenty of water.
Yeah.
Harder to do in the winter than the springtime, because, you know, again with Chinese medicine, you're feeling the different areas on the body, and so the lower chow, it's called chow, is if it's cold, and it is in some women, it needs to be heated up. And again, it's the ancient Chinese way of getting the blood flow, isn't it? So it's an important thing to do. Okay, what are your thoughts on reflexology? Do you offer couples acupuncture sessions when you both have it at the same time? Well, I don't. Do you do that, Susanna?
No, I
don't. I know some practitioners do, but for us, it's a matter of space. But I think it's a nice thing to do.
It could be helpful, especially you could have the consultation together. And then, I mean, of course, you have to put needles in one after the other. But yeah, if people want to, you know, if partners want to be in the same room, I mean, as long as they relax, I don't see a point why you can't. But yeah, it's often a question of space. You know, you don't have 2 treatment beds in the same room normally. Of course, they could come at more or less the same time, and then we treat them in different rooms. But yeah, real couple acupuncture, I don't normally do. But it's maybe more a space thing rather than
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And you know, the thing for us, we're not what we call a multi-bed clinic, are we? We don't have lots of beds. We have one room, and the acupuncture stays with you all of the time. You don't have to talk all of the time. Sometimes when I've been in, you're just like sitting quietly, but it's very important, isn't it, that you stay with somebody and you're there to be able to answer the questions and see what they're happening, because very often they have got a lot of questions, haven't they,
they have a lot of
ask
questions. Particularly when once the needles are in, sometimes people want to talk, or they go the other way. But also I think it's important that you have that space for yourself, that you really have the possibility to just calm down. And you know, I say to people, it's not often that during the day you get a chance to lie down for 30 minutes and be still. You know, so and people appreciate that.
And sometimes they listen to music, or they listen to a visualization, don't they? And
we always have the music on. Right, it's very relaxing, very relaxing.
Yeah. Okay. What happens in an appointment? Is it always the same, or does it depend on what you need? Well, it's individualized, isn't it? There's sort of sets of questions that you ask, so you're trying to get an idea of how somebody's balance is and what underlying issues they have got. We look at we talk about periods, don't we? We look at where they've got issues in the body, IBS,
and then also, you know, it depends where they are in the cycle.
It
depends where they are in the cycle. So, you know, there will be different points every week, or, you know, depending on where in the IVF cycle they are. So, yes, I mean, you will always have a little bit of a conversation at the beginning and check where they are, what are the issues, has anything come up, and then according to that, take the pulse, the tongue, and then tailor the treatment. But so I mean, it's the same in terms of you will always have needles, but probably different points. And it might sometimes be a heat lamp, sometimes not, sometimes electro acupuncture, sometimes not. So very interesting.
Fantastic. Well, we've come to the end of our time, Susanne. It's gone really, really fast.
Very fast.
For anybody that's listening, thank you for watching. And we're going to put this live on my IGTV, and it will also be at Zita West Clinic as well. But thank you so much for coming on, Susanne. And I hope you'll come on again. And I have a busy week next week. Next Monday, I've got Eve Kalkink, who is a gut specialist. So she's going to come on and talk about your fertility and your gut. Then on Tuesday, I'm talking to Nicola Salmon again about her book, Fat and Fertile, Getting Pregnant in a Bigger Body. And this didn't work out because of connections last week, so we're doing it Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, I've got Dr. Simone from the clinic. So please send in your questions and answers. But have a great weekend. Thank you so much, Susanna. And I'll see you all next week.
Have a good weekend.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye.